So we all know Magic Johnson is a billionaire, right? But what's wild is that his journey to the top, it wasn't some perfect winning streak, not at all. In fact, it was built on what might be one of the biggest financial mistakes in sports history. Yeah, you heard that right. So let's get into it, because this story, it's way more than just about success. It's a whole playbook that kicked off with a $5 billion lesson.
Okay, so picture this. It's 1979, a super young 19-year-old Magic Johnson. He's just won the NCAA championship. I mean, every single shoe company is knocking on his door. Converse, they come in with a big pile of cash. But then, this guy from a little company you might have heard of, Nike. He makes a totally different kind of offer. The co-founder, Phil Knight, offers him something Magic has never even heard of before. It was called stock.
Now you gotta remember, he's 19, and as Magic himself put it, when you're black and you're broke, you take the money. He didn't know anything about equity or ownership. I mean, why would he? So of course he took the guaranteed cash from Converse. It was the safe bet. But what was the real cost of that decision? $5 billion. Can you even wrap your head around that? That's what the Nike stock he said no to would be worth today. It was, without a doubt, the single biggest financial fumble of his life. But, and this is the important part, what's so fascinating is what he did with that massive failure.
See, he didn't let that mistake crush him. He let it fuel him. It literally became the spark for a lifelong obsession with learning everything he could about business. He made a promise to himself. Never again would he be in a room and not understand the deal. That multi-billion-dollar L he took, it became the foundation for every single win that came after.
All right, so how did he pull it off? How do you go from that to billionaire? Well, here's the thing. He didn't just throw away all the skills that made him a legend on the basketball court. No way. He just repurposed them. He took that championship mindset and applied it to a completely new game, the boardroom.
And it was a total one-to-one crossover. I mean, Magic said it best himself. I had to research my opponents back in the day. Now I research companies. It was the exact same drive, the same incredible discipline. You know, waking up at 4 a.m., working out, then heading straight to the office. All of those skills were totally transferable. He just changed the arena he was playing in.
And he knew he couldn't do it alone. So early on in his career, he went looking for a mentor. And he found one in the Lakers owner, the late Dr. Jerry Buss. But get this, his own teammates actually confronted him about it. They were like, there's an unwritten rule. Players don't hang out with the owner. Magic's response? It's legendary. He basically told them, look, you guys are millionaires? He's a billionaire. I'm hanging out with a billionaire. He just completely refused to let peer pressure get in the way of the knowledge he was hungry for.
Okay, so with that mindset locked in, he started building his empire. And his playbook is just filled with these really practical, powerful strategies that, honestly, anyone can learn from. And it all started with a super simple observation he made about his own community.
We don't eat scones. This one little quote tells you everything you need to know. See, when Magic decided to partner with Starbucks, pretty much everyone told him it would be a total failure in black communities. The CEO, Howard Schultz, he believed in the vision, but the standard Starbucks model, it just wasn't going to work. Magic walks into one of the stores and immediately he sees the problem.
So what did he do? He swapped out the scones for sweet potato pie and peach cobbler. He changed the music playing over the speakers. He created a totally different feel, a different vibe. His whole philosophy was simple. It's not about you, it's about them. He literally said, I customize it to my customer. Always make your business about the customer. And with that mindset, he built 125 wildly successful stores and proved every single doubter wrong.
And this is where the playbook gets really, really good, because he always had an exit strategy. He eventually sold those 125 Starbucks stores back to the company. And then he took that money and used it to lead an investment group to buy the Los Angeles Dodgers. Just look at those numbers on the screen. From $2.2 billion to $7.5 billion, that is not just a home run, my friends. That is a grand slam out of the park.
Which brings us to one of his key rules of the game. Don't sell too early. He always warns entrepreneurs that someone is going to come along with a huge check and it's going to be so tempting to sell. But patience can be the difference between making a few $1 million and making hundreds of millions.
And his own story proves this time and time again. Take the WNBA's LA Sparks. He bought the team for just $10 million. Now, for years, the team was actually losing money, and the pressure to sell was intense, but they held on. And then, a little while ago, a comparable WNBA team sold for $325 million. Magic's reaction was perfect. Thank God we didn't sell too early.
Okay, his final strategic key? It's all about the team. He puts it bluntly. I'm a smart guy because I put smart people around me and then I pay them to do their job. His rules are super simple, but totally non-negotiable, especially his warning about hiring family. He said that so many black businesses have failed because they hire family members who just don't have the skills. It's tough advice for sure, but it's real.
All right, so he's built this massive empire. He's a certified billionaire. But if you think this whole thing was just about the money, you are missing the entire point of his playbook. Because all of that work, all that grinding, it was all building towards his ultimate why.
And this right here, this is the heart of the whole story. The wealth, the ownership, the influence, all of it was just a means to an end. A much, much bigger end. It was about something that money could buy. But it wasn't for him.
This quote really gets to the core of his motivation. See, success gives you power. It gives you a voice. It lets you become a real agent of change for your community, for your city. For Magic, becoming a billionaire was never the end goal. The goal was getting a seat at the table.
And this is why it matters so much. He never forgot getting turned down by 10 different banks early on. He said they all wanted his autograph, but not a single one would give him a loan. And he knew deep down that if he failed, those banks would never take a chance on another black entrepreneur. But if he succeeded, well then he could prop the door open for everyone else coming up behind him. His success was never, ever just about him.
So as we're wrapping this up, he leaves us with one last super actionable piece of advice. He says forget about 5 or 10-year plans. Everything you go after should be on a 3-year timeline. Get your partner, your team, to buy in, and then you put 150% into it for those 3 years, and you just make it happen. That intense focus is exactly how he turned vision into reality, over and over again.
When you look at it, Magic's entire story is about turning the impossible into the possible on the basketball court and then in the boardroom. He took a $5 billion mistake and turned it into his greatest motivation, building an empire that was designed from day one to lift others up. So it really just leaves you with one question to ask yourself. If you follow his playbook, what impossible thing are you going to make possible in the next 3 years?